Hello everyone. Sometimes you get a question in the comments that just a couple of lines of text don't really cover and don't really clarify your position, or my position in this case, to explain it fully. So I thought I would make this video just to clarify. Now, I'm not picking on Ian, but Ian made a comment on my last video, and I'll read it out. And I'm certainly not picking on you, Ian. It says, what happens when they get bigger? Each of those seedlings has to go in a 1 litre pot. You're going to need space for 20 pots when you'll be wanting to put in trays of lettuce, spinach and spring onion into the propagator, and it'd be too risky to put the heat-loving plants outside the propagator. I think you're going 6 weeks to a month too early. Now, it's a very relevant comment, Ian, so that's, I say, why I'm not picking on you. And it's one worthy of a proper explanation of how I do things and manage things in here. Now, the reason I go early is because they are a long season cropping plant, and you need to get them going earlier to grow to a reasonable size to get that crop from them. If I waited 6 to 8 weeks to then sow them and get them going, I'm going to have a log jam in this propagator. Now, at the minute, I've got these are my peppers and my aubergines, and there's a lot of them. I don't need all of these, but I have got a space here. Hopefully you can see them. And even when I've potted on what I want to keep, it will only take up this space on this propagator. Now, bear in mind, this is a heated bench propagator, and I've set this up because it's my hobby and I spent the money on it, and it probably cost me about 150 quid when I set it up. But it was knowing that I wanted to be able to utilise it for these very reasons. So as I say, my peppers and aubergines, they'll stay here for quite a long time in pots, and they'll take up about 1/3 of this space. My tomatoes eventually will also take up about 1/3 of that space, still leaving me space to get other crops going. And I've got a decent sized propagator, this sort of size, that I use in the house for other things, and my windowsill propagators, which uses 7 of these trays. So that sort of covers that. But also, if I waited too long to start them off, as I say, there would be a log jam where I'm getting other plants going, or need to get other plants going. So I go early to clear plants. Like, I started my onions off on a propagator, just potted these on yesterday. They're looking a bit bedraggled. I've got 2 trays of these in here, and I put them back on the propagator for now, and in a day or two's time they'll come off and go on the bench in here. Now, in here in the greenhouse, I have got a bit of a heater going on, but it's only a frost heater. It only operates for maybe 10-20 nights of the year when the temperature drops enough in here, and it'll kick in. But there is some residual heat. There is some residual heat from this propagator that does escape into here and keeps it at a slightly warmer than average temperature than's outside. So I'll let them acclimatise and catch their breath after being potted on, because they've been taken out of soil, put back into soil, watered and put back into the propagator. A couple of days, they'll go on the bench, they'll acclimatise to that, then they'll go down to the allotments. And that's my workflow, is I get things started. They only need that heat to get them started, then they come off the propagator away and down to the allotments. The heat loving plants like the aubergines, the chilies and the peppers and the tomatoes eventually stay on this propagator, and basically till they outgrow it. And it's about 18 inches tall, this propagator, and then eventually they'll go down to into the polytunnel where I can protect them further. So that's the whole emphasis, is to get things started and get things moving on. And I spread that out as much as possible so that it doesn't all happen all in one go, because there's nothing worse where you're just completely surrounded by plants and you can't do anything with them. So I say, everything I do is worked out over a number of years as to what works for me and how I can utilise the equipment that I've got, i.e. this propagator and the ones in the house, and my polytunnel, and the protection I can afford them here in the house, here in the greenhouse, and here in the polytunnels, and in my cloches in the polytunnels as the season progresses. And you'll see that as the season goes on, and soon work out and see why this workflow works for me. So in this propagator at the moment, which incidentally is 8 foot by 2 foot, it's a massive thing, and that's why I invested in it. I don't go out drinking, I don't do motorsports. This is what I would prefer to spend my money on. Well, I've got a tray of onions, a tray of multi-sown leeks here in the middle, another tray of onions. There's a bag of compost warming for my next sowings in a few days. Some leeks in the pot, more onions behind, and then of course the chilies, peppers and aubergines, and they will take up this space. I've got bottles of water under here and the spare plants, spare chilies, aubergines and peppers. They will take up this space. The tomatoes will come up to here roughly, and then the rest of this space I can use for other sowings or for potting other plants on into. I say these onions will be away down the allotments, as will these leeks. I mean, on the bench over here I've got some lettuce for eating. We're going to be eating that in about a week's time, I reckon. Some more I've sown in there, and some more leeks that aren't coming up yet, but they might go on the propagator this week to give them a head start. Then they can go down the allotments. Just got some squashes and garlic there storing for over winter. So everything I do towards gardening, it is built up over years and years of experience. I've been gardening for 50 years and I learnt off an expert, my granddad. And you pick up things over the years. And as I'm constantly sort of telling people, you can't do that right now, but try, have a go, see how it works for you. And this is the best way to build up experience, and this is what I do. Now, some of those peppers, for instance, in there, I don't need them all. I don't want to plant them all, but I will try this year to plant them in different areas of the allotments, maybe even in the garden here at home, and see if I can grow them elsewhere, see if I can, again, cheat the system, see if I can do something new or different with them. 9 times out of 10, I'll plant them out, and 2 weeks later I'm ripping them out because they just aren't performing. But it's what builds your experience and builds on the knowledge of previous years. The more you do that, the better a gardener you become. So I heartily recommend that. And the reason I sow so many plants in the first place is if I buy a packet of pepper seeds, I know after a couple of years the germination rates will go down. I also know I only paid £1 for that packet of seeds. So I get to the second year, and if I haven't already got rid of them, I'll just sow the lot, pot on what I've got, and then I've got a choice of the better plants. I've had my money's worth out of the seeds. I've got the choice of the better plants, the ones I want to keep. The rest I'll either compost, pot on and give to somebody else, or just test with them, trial with them, because I'm going to buy new seeds for the next year because it's only going to cost me £1. And that's the way I garden. There's no point in hanging on to seeds for years and years. Yes, you can do that and you can get germination, just the rates drop year on year. They become less viable. So I prefer to work with fresh seed all the time. It's why I sow so many seeds. I just think, well, I'm getting new ones next year anyway. Put them into some soil and see what happens and see what we can do with them. And that's a great learning process. But anyway, I think that's enough of my waffle today. I hope I've answered your question, Ian. I certainly wasn't picking on you. I think it was a great question, to be honest. And it was that good, obviously, that I felt I needed to do this video just to help people understand what they can and can't do. And I'm hoping I can get that message over this period of this spring. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you all on the next one. Look after yourselves, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.